Well, good evening, everyone. Just wanted to pop on real quick. Just saw the video that's going viral, or at least the commentating of the video on YouTube. I don't have TikTok, but it was, I guess originally put out on TikTok about this gentleman Druski, about what he feels, what he thinks about the church. Some of it was funny. Some of it was spot on. And I think his focus was on the mega churches or the large churches. I'm just going to give my quick opinion on this. Again, I think most of it is spot on. Is he mocking God? No, I don't think he's mocking God at all. I think he's mocking the church. There's a difference. Is it embarrassing? That's kind of a tough question to answer, because I guess in my early walk with Christ, it would have been extremely embarrassing. Now, it's not so much embarrassing as it is frustrating, because even watching the skit that he did, it's just frustrating how, even though his skit is making fun of, a small percentage of churches, those are the churches that are being seen. Those are the churches that people watch online. Those are the churches that are all over the internet. Those are the churches that make it difficult for the small churches. Those are the ones that have influence. And again, it's not all large churches. Again, there's always exceptions. Is he mocking God? No, I don't think so. Some people may take it that way, but no, he's not. He's mocking the church. He's not mocking God. He's mocking the church. And he's mocking the church because the church has allowed these particular preachers to go and become money hungry and apostates and do all these things that have made the whole Christian community look crazy, and have given a platform for people like Druski to make skits like this, which was a very well done skit, to make fun of the church. Some people are going to be offended, and some people are going to be very upset, and that's okay. But I think that it's not he's not the first person to do it. But we've seen actual video of pastors being put on lines, being, coming into the church, coming in, being suspended in the air and then brought down. So, I mean, there's precedence for all this that he's doing in his video. We've seen videos of all kinds of stuff, people locking the door while they give an offering, doing this, that, and the other, people asking for exorbitant amounts of money. We've seen examples of pastors not doing anything for congregants that aren't able to give, and only doing things for congregants that are able to give. And we've seen examples of all these things. We know there are pastors out there that are money hungry, and unfortunately have turned all these churches into businesses and no longer ministries. We see it all over YouTube. We see it all over the internet. And these are the people that unfortunately have influence and have power, and people are following these people. It's ridiculous. How, I don't know, but it is what it is. So, again, I think for non-believers, this is what they see, but this is not really what Christendom is, because Christendom is mainly small churches that are struggling to survive, or just barely making it, or if they are making it, they're nowhere near the size of large or mega churches. And so you're getting a false impression of what churches are because of these unfortunate, ridiculous, apostate mega and large churches that Druski here is making fun of. And all they are circus acts and clubs and shows, and you're not getting any word from these churches. You're just getting a show. And unfortunately, you're hurting the people. And they leave, filling their pockets. And yeah, there are many pastors out there that are not getting salary and do have other revenue streams. My pastor works. So, even though we as a extremely small church do provide him a small stipend, which is fine. I have no issues with that. He has a job. And so, he has his own revenue stream. Plus he does other things that make sure that him and his wife are taken care of. He doesn't rely on the church to do that. And there are other pastors that do that too. There are plenty of pastors that, podcast, write books, are evangelists that go out and speak everywhere. That's how they make their money. And then there are those unfortunate churches that, demand salary from the church, and the church pays them an exorbitant amount of money to be a pastor at their church, and potentially 6-figure salaries and all this other stuff on top of them doing with their own thing. But unfortunately, most churches can't afford to do that, if they can even afford to pay their pastors at all. So what I'm saying is, this skit from Druski is another unfortunate thing to show how low Christendom has become because of the few. It's all one of my old ROTC teachers used to say that it's always the 3% that ruins it for everybody. And that's exactly what's happening in Christendom. It's always that 3% that ruins it for everybody. It's always the 3%. And, Druski in his own little way, and I don't know who he is. I just heard him today. Never knew who he was. Again, I'm not on TikTok. And he was spot on for most of it. Most of it I've seen on YouTube in real videos. He was spot on. Most of what you see in comedy, a lot of comedy is based on truth and facts. And for a lot of people, it's hard to see because it's thrown right back in your face. And for a lot of saints and Christians, this is hitting them in the face, and they don't want to look at it because they're embarrassed, they're hurt, they're offended, whatever. Well, get over yourself. This is what it is. The 3% are ruining it for everybody else. It's just the way it is. And yet millions and millions of people are following the 3%. And small churches like the one I attend have a hard time gaining new members because people don't want to come to our church where they hear the real word, where we're not money hungry and anything else, but yet they want to go to that mega church or that large church where they got everything, but they're really not getting the word. Make that make sense to me. But that's the way the church is going. In the last days, people aren't going for the word. They're getting their ear tickled. Money is the root of all evil. That's what these pastors are going for. They're going for a paycheck. They're getting paid. It's a business for them. It's a job. And it is a job, but it's not a job, if that makes sense. As an ordained clergy myself, I don't get paid for what I do. I rarely get blessed. I don't get appreciations. I don't get any of that stuff and don't expect to get any of it. So on the rare occasion somebody does bless me, it's a blessing. I don't do it for the money. I have a job. That's how I support my family and keep a roof over my head. I have a job. And so, this skit by Druski just unfortunately showed, as many other comedians have done before and others, how the few big churches or mega churches have ruined it for everybody. And putting it on display on TikTok, now all over YouTube, is embarrassing, offending, and upsetting to many Christians and saints. And all y'all just need to get over it, because guess what? Most of it is true and spot on. And I've seen most of it in person, if not on YouTube itself. It's spot on. It's spot on. I've seen it with my own eyes, or I've watched it on YouTube in real videos. Not comedic like Druski did, but in real videos where somebody has highlighted the nonsense that goes on in these churches. So I don't know what to tell y'all. For non-believers, it's an unfortunate thing because we're trying to bring them to Christ. But when they see videos like this, they don't want to come to Christ because they think that these preachers are a bunch of crooks. And so when they see the few, they think everybody's like that. And that's part of the problem. See, the problem we have in the Christian community is we have bad PR as a whole. When I say we have bad PR, I'm talking about the small churches. We can't come together and get our PR straight. The mega churches and the large churches, and most of them are those 3% we're talking about, they got great PR and everything else because they got that wide reach all over the internet, and they're all over YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and everything else. Whereas our small churches are struggling trying to get the word out, and we can't. But the problem is most of the small to mid-sized churches are the majority of Christendom. But yet we can't get our marketing and PR straight. Not for lack of trying. And so this is the problem. We're continuously praying. We're continuously asking the Lord to send people our way. We're continuously asking, the Lord to send us the resources and the talent and all this other stuff. And yet these big, large churches and these mega churches that Druski was talking about have all the talent, all the people, all the resources, have more people than they could use, have musicians 20 people deep. Some of them don't even play, but maybe once a month. But yet we can't get anybody because we can't afford to pay them what they're used to, because they don't want to do it for the Lord. They only want to do it for the money, because now being a musician is their job. They're not doing it unto the Lord. They're doing it for their pocketbook. And again, I'm not against paying musicians, but unfortunately what's ended up happening is the priority is shifted, where it's not playing unto the Lord, it's playing unto my pocketbook, because now it's my job. So, I can play this church for 1 hour and then move on to the next church for the next service, and it's become a job. So nobody is loyal anymore. And if you find that loyal magician, you better hold on to him. And again, I'm not against paying musicians. I'm not against blessing our pastor with a stipend or a salary. All that is dependent on your church and what your church can afford. I think if people join a church, they need to join a church because the Lord has sent them there, or they feel compelled to join, or they like what they've heard, and then you go from there. I think money comes after you have come, you enjoy the ministry, you do that, and then we can worry about finances after the fact. We can work that out. But no, that's not how it works anymore. Everybody wants to know how much you're going to pay me right from the get-go. And if you can't pay them what they think they deserve, then you're not going to get them. And then they're going to go to this big church that can afford to pay them and the other 19 other people that is in their musician section. Who needs all those musicians? Nobody does. But guess what? That church can afford to pay all of them. So this is what we're dealing with. So this little skit from Druski, for the most part, was spot on. It was spot on. And again, he's not mocking God. He's mocking the church. Some people may look at it as he's mocking God, but he's not. He's mocking the bad seeds that we have in the church. That's what he's mocking. He's mocking them greedy preachers and pastors and so-called apostles. We don't have apostles anymore. So-called whatever you want, whatever prophets and prophetesses and all this other stuff. That's who he's mocking. Don't try to get deep on what he on his skit. So I just wanted to come on here and talk about that because he's trending and he's blowing up. So I just wanted to come on here and talk about that. Again, it's really disappointing that these kind of videos keep coming out, because again, it's always that 3% that ruin it for everybody. And so the rest of us medium to small churches are suffering because of what these bad 3% of churches are doing, and the rest of us suffer for it. And that's the unfortunate side effect of all this, is that we suffer because of the bad things that these particular churches do. Everybody else suffers because we get lumped in with them. And again, they're the exception and not the rule. Most churches are doing the best they can. They're preaching the word. They're doing right by their people. But then these 3% of bad churches ruin it for everybody. And that's what he's highlighting. That's what he's mocking. And that's what he's making fun of. And if you don't like it, get over yourself, because that's what it is. And if you have a problem with that, then you need to speak out on them. Not on Druski. He don't care. He's probably not even a believer. But this is what non-believers see in the believers community. So if you're mad about that, get mad at the churches he's talking about. You know who they are. Most of the popular ones that are out on YouTube, that's them. Most of them. You know who they are. Get mad at them. Call them out. That's who you need to be mad at. Don't get mad at these people for doing what they do. The world's going to do what the world does. Why we continuously get mad at the world for what they do is beyond me. They do what they do. We need to be mad at the churches he's making fun of. That's who we need to be upset about, because they're making everybody look bad. So if you like this video, again, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, tell somebody about it, share it, leave a comment. As always, be respectful. Again, I appreciate everyone, especially to my subscribers. And thank you for your time. And until next time, God bless you.